Hey fellas, 𝓕𝓐𝑚 here, and I'm back with a new video, an extended video, about my first ever Inktober challenge. For this challenge, you may already be well versed in what I did if you are following me or have been following me on IG, Instagram, which is where I did my day-to-day covers of what I was doing for the challenge, which I did my own unique thing. But here is where I'll show you not only the drawings and basically tell you what I did, but I'll also explain how I feel extensively about each of the anime, what I love about it, what I don't, meme a little bit about them, and just have some fun. Actually, first, before we get in, let me explain how this Inktober challenge for this year worked for me. I'm not entirely 100% sure if there's an official schedule or an official thing that people go by. I think there is, but for me, I just wanted to do my own, which I'm sure to them is fine. When I went on the website, they said that the most important thing is that you keep improving, and the other thing is hopefully you get some new friends along the way. So basically, the prize is the friends that you make along the way. Friendship is the real magic over here. Hopefully that's not the same for One Piece, but anyways. So to explain how my Inktober challenge is going to work, what I did was I split it up into 4 weeks, where different weeks will be based on my favorite 7 anime of those particular categories, and then the last 3 days of October would be me coloring, because for most of the days I didn't color, I just pencil drew, but on the last 3 days of October I'll be coloring the drawings of my favorite 3 anime. At least that's the goal. By the time I'm recording this, I still have not finished Inktober yet, so I'm not entirely sure if it'll be just 3 or if I'll bend the rules a little bit and do my favorite 5. Anywho, with all that said, let's hop right in. Week 1 of my Inktober challenge is my favorite 7 shonen anime. First up is one of the only anime I'd been hooked onto for almost as long as I can remember. From village outcast to overlord, it's one of the few stories, if not the only one, where I feel like I've grown up alongside the protagonist, this case being Boruto's dad. It's also one of the few stories I can recall in my mind where the villains actually have deep, well thought out motivations behind their actions, so much so to the point where you actually end up feeling sorry for the way life treated a lot of the villains. At the end of the day, especially in the Shippuden part of the story, it seems like the major villains and the heroes agree on the same goal, that being peace, but disagree philosophically and practically on the means to achieve the end that they all desire. Now, I do wish that the post-war arcs of the Naruto Shippuden anime and even the Itachi arc adapted more stuff from the novelizations more thoroughly and faithfully, and I do think the Shippuden anime should have followed the route of the manga, which ended with Naruto becoming Hokage, unlike how the anime ended with Naruto's wedding. Since don't get me wrong, I love the focus on Naruto's wedding, and it's one of my favorite parts of the story. It's really, really sweet. But from day one, the goal was always for Naruto to become Hokage, not to get married. So the anime should have at least showed that while the anime was still Naruto and not Boruto. Still, the Naruto story, in my humble opinion, has definitely more than earned its place amongst the Mount Rushmore of anime. before I move on to the next anime, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, Boruto. Boruto has got its share of hate and memeing, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I've enjoyed a lot of the memes. Still, even before post-time skip Boruto, known as Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, that's a laundry list of a name, I'm not gonna lie. Before that started, Boruto, especially the anime, still got a lot of unfair criticism in my humble opinion. Yes, we all remember how episode 1 began, with the Leafs Mount Rushmore in tatters symbolizing the literal, structural, and metaphorical destruction of Konoha as we know it, and how that hype dissipated as we realized episode by episode that Boruto was becoming more of a slice of life anime and less a story of striving shinobi like Naruto and Naruto Shippuden were. Yes, I also dislike a lot of the character designs too. Like, although Naruto looks accurate for a middle-aged dude, what happened to this concept art from Shippuden for an older Naruto? Gaara too, about the middle-aged look that he got? But man, rest in peace to Gaara's hair. Rest in peace.
Look how they massacred my boy.
And please don't get me started on Anko. Even though it actually makes sense if you if you're a Naruto nerd, even though it makes sense story-wise, please don't let me get started. And I dislike how there were fillers or poorly adapted arcs placed out of context when there are so many canon stories and so many golden details that make some of our favorite characters even better and humanize the people and the world this story is in, like the Shinden novels and the Retsuden novels. But all those aside, Boruto has actually been a pretty good story. Like, for real. It's easy to trash it right now because Boruto was such a bratty kid and there had not been a lot of action in the earlier parts of the story. But against the backdrop of a completed Naruto story where Naruto has finished being the main character and has grown up, you gotta realize Boruto has to do his own growing up. And the Boruto anime actually has a way better track record with canon to filler ratio than the Naruto or Naruto Shippuden animes. In those cases, nearly half of both of those series were filler, but Boruto only has about 11% at the time of recording being actual filler. I'll gladly admit that I didn't watch the second half of Naruto because it felt pretty redundant being almost entirely filler. So the Boruto series has done relatively well, and we've just gotta give the story some time to actually develop and the characters some grace to grow. Now. Hey, yo! For my second one, I gotta be real. I was very reluctant for the longest time to get into the One Piece fandom for two main reasons: the art style and the amount of episodes. That combined with what I thought was an oversaturated glazing of the series from its fandom. But when I finally decided to try it for myself, I got really hyped about the story. Let's be real. Let's be real. 1,000 plus episodes is a lot, especially for a series where the most minor things are literally used hundreds of episodes later for the most mind-boggling, series-changing plot twists. But after having gone through most of the story, I can honestly understand the saying that One Piece feels like it has too many episodes until you realize there aren't enough. Is there much to be desired with the pacing? Yes, absolutely. Admittedly, I didn't mind the pacing at the beginning at all. It really got tedious for me though post-time skip, especially at Dressrosa where man, brother, sister, I just gave up on watching the anime and read that arc in the manga instead. But you have to give Eiichiro Oda his flowers for keeping a story going this long, keeping those who love the story still hooked to every panel which his hands produce, keeping each part of the story and even the gags relevant to the storyline, and building a community around maybe one of the greatest pieces of fiction a human has ever conceived. Personally, I take Oda over Shakespeare any day. Shakespeare, by the way, has plagiarized most of his major works anyways, but if you disagree, you are entitled to your opinion, and I can respect your refined tastes. All in all, One Piece is worth a try, and if the art style and or the pacing are still issues for you, then maybe wait for The One Piece, which is One Piece's remake with better art and pacing, to come out. The One Piece community is also pretty fun, to the point I'm wondering if the One Piece is actually the friends we made along the way. If you decide to take the seas with the rest of our fandom, welcome aboard. For this next anime on the list, Fairy Tail, I've got mixed feelings about this. Both the drawing and the anime. About this drawing in particular, the proportions are off and that bothers me quite a bit, especially knowing that even 8 years ago, I drew Natsu and Lucy with more even proportions than this drawing. So it does feel like
this evolving just backwards.
Still, up to this point in my Inktober challenge, it was my favorite drawing so far. Now, about the anime. It was definitely one of my favorite anime. Still is. It's a fun watch, and rewatching some parts make me realize how much went over my head. The last war arc in Fairy Tail 2018 does leave a bad taste in my mouth because of... Well, okay, spoiler alert. So if you don't want to hear any of the spoilers, feel free to go to the time cards below and see the next anime. If you're still here, I assume you're already caught up or are okay with spoilers. So... okay. Brother. Hey yo. My man Mashima. How are you going to start a war? How are you literally going to emphasize in the story that people are going to die and not have the spine to unalive any of the characters on Fairy Tail's side? Like, the only relevant person you took out was someone who was basically a floating fairy zombie already. But for even her, you still managed to find a way to pull her back out of your butt in the weirdest way possible at the end of the manga. Yes, I love the characters of the guild, and it will be tough to see any of them go. But if you're going to call it a war, and especially if you emphasize that people are gonna die, have the gonads to take out some of Fairy Tail's allies. Like, let me be real here. The time I thought Kaguya was gonna die, I didn't want it to happen, and it had me literally in tears. But for Kaguya to go from crucifying Levi as enemies to falling in love with her, confessing his love, and dying to protect her would have been, in my humblest opinion, the single greatest enemies to lovers storyline in anime, and would have been one of the saddest anime deaths of all time. Still, I'm not gonna lie, I actually didn't mind Kaguya miraculously being spared the way he had been. And I love that it's basically official that Kaguya and Levi are gonna start a family now. Now, with that said, even though that's the case, what really got annoying really fast though is that as the war progresses, you see more characters who seem to fall in battle be miraculously saved here and there. Like 8 times it happens. And yes, I love those characters, but Mashima, you are making life look so cheap by making it constantly easily spared by miracles out of thin air. Makarov's use of fairy law, in my opinion, was a greatly missed opportunity for the death of a fairy tale character. It would have been perfect. It would have symbolized martyrdom, which no matter the cause, good or evil, martyrdom is always powerful in motivating the spirits of those to remain in the fight and those who were on the sidelines in the conflict. It would have symbolized a passing of the torch from one generation of fairies to the next, and Makarov having taken out a slew of enemies in his death would be the way any warrior would want to go out in a war. He's lived a long life. This would have been quite a way for the son of one of Fairy Tail's founders to go, in protection of his father's legacy and his own legacy. But Mashima, as Boris Johnson says,
supine protoplasmic invertebrate jellies.
And we still have not talked about how there's a long list of characters that could have been put on the chopping block for the sake of the story. Gildarts, for example, maybe Kana, Roxas, or any one of his fellas. Heck, even someone like Ichigo could have gone out and I would have had to raise my fist and salute for the fallen brother. There's a long list of characters that could have been fallen in battle, even in semi-meaningful ways. But Mashima, you somehow couldn't really even find one. And P.S. Dear Hero Mashima, bro, stop trolling us and make Nalu official canonically. How do all the side characters basically have their official ships at this point, and we see all the official Nalu art, but it's not even made canon yet? If you can't tell, I have a ton of frustrations with Fairy Tail. Even though it has and is one of my favorite anime of all time, I've got a lot of things that peeve me about it, from the power scaling and how it basically turned into friendship is magic done wrong. My Little Pony did it better, I'm not gonna lie. Update here. That was recorded before Mashima's talked about why he made Fairy Tail in the first place, which is basically he made it as a coping mechanism for not having any friends. And when I saw that, I felt really remorseful. I honestly mean everything that I said, but now I do sympathize with where he's coming from.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
But still, was it worth watching? For me, definitely, without a doubt. For this next one, Haikyuu, I don't have a lot to say about this drawing or anime, except that I do really love how this drawing turned out, and that I'm so one of those people who watched Haikyuu one day and began trying to play volleyball with near religious fervor the next. As someone who sucked at volleyball during grade school, after watching Haikyuu much later in my life, it encouraged me to get back on the court again and show myself that wings which may seem flightless can take flight again. I always doubted that a sports anime could keep me captivated, but Haikyuu kept me not only glued to the way the matches went, but also attached to the dynamics between all the individual characters. Not even just Karasuno, but from other schools. I kind of regret that I could only draw Hinata Shoyo because this really feels like every character showed to me in a way. From Nishinoya to the black-haired guy, sorry, I'm forgetting his name right now, but the black-haired moody guy and the glasses moody guy. I guess there's a lot of moody guys in this anime. But hey, honestly, they're all a vibe, and the anime is really hilarious and pretty motivating. And someone get Oikawa his milk bread. Whew, man. This one, I don't have a lot to say. I don't think there's a lot I can say without spoiling the whole anime. But really, Koro-sensei, you're a real one. The drawing had quite a bit to be desired, but I don't mind. We're doing this to grow, so hey, as long as I'm growing and having fun and learning, it's great. But in terms of the anime, man, Koro-sensei, you're a real one, dog. You're a real one. You done made it hard to say bye-bye yesterday. So, admittedly, I haven't caught up to My Hero since the end of season 4, and I've heard the manga ended recently in let's just say, disappointing way, to say the least. Still, I haven't got there yet in the story, and I haven't let a disappointing final arc or last part of the story I personally seen stop me from including any of the previous anime already mentioned. So I've got to leave it here among my top 7 favorite shonen anime. It's always been such a vibe of an anime for me, with a great balance of comedy, character growth, serious conflicts, heart-throbbing resolutions, and just an all-around great storytelling to the point I had got to. Other than the memes I've seen about how the manga ended, personally, I don't really have anything to say negative about this anime. It's a vibe.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Well. Okay. If you know this anime, I'm pretty sure I already know what you're thinking. Yes, let's be real and honest. There is a lot of fan service. Actually, I just recently rewatched season 1 to 4 of it, and there was a lot more fan service than I remembered. On the other hand, if you're watching this anime because you have a kink for watching people orgasm over exquisite dishes, or as the fan base has dubbed it, foodgasming, I honestly don't think you'll make it too far. Yes, it makes a common occurrence in the anime and the story in general, but if you don't have a love for food or an interest in the process and heart and intricacies which have to go into preparing a dish, I really don't believe you will like the story. You'd watch it because you're just horny, and click off of it when you're not. The fan service aspect of the anime is very much in your face, that's true. It would be disingenuous for me to deny or downplay that. With that said, the anime is so much more than fan service. Shokugeki no Soma could be just as fulfilling a story, if not more, without the fan service. I like to tell others that I know that the art style is peak, the animation on fleek, the conflicts and backstories on point, and don't get me started about the background soundtracks. Like, after even watching the first few episodes of Food Wars, playing this song while doing something as simple as boiling an egg can honestly make you feel as if you're transcending space and time with this mesmerizing melody. Beyond boiling eggs, this anime genuinely got me from feeling just meh or just good about cooking to feeling and being very passionate in the kitchen and even outside about cooking and baking and making lists of different dishes and foods and drinks from a variety of places, backgrounds, and cultures that I love to try making. This anime taught me a lot, not just about cooking, but even about science and nature that I didn't even know about. And not only do they do well with building the stories of current students at 𝓡𝓸𝓶𝓪𝓷𝓬𝓮 Culinary Academy, but also those of the past generations. I used to spend a lot of time reading stuff and studying the different generations of the Elite 10, and I just love how they build them all up so the interactions between them can be natural or be comedic, serious, or emotional, and a lot of times all of the above. And it's just really great. And hey yo, aren't the character designs so cool? Like, tell me this isn't cool. Tell me this is not lit. Like, these are great. All in all, I'm really feeling welcome to the world of gourmet food with this one, fellas. Moving on, my week 2 was centered around romance anime, and for day 1 of week 2, I had to choose this first anime, Horimiya. About the drawing, I like it. I messed up Miyamura's beautiful best boy face, but I still like this drawing. Miyamura, forgive me. About the actual anime, this anime is just such a gem. I appreciate it because even though you see some use of common anime tropes, like the tsundere or those cliches, they're still applied somewhat sparingly and in unique, somewhat unpredictable, and pretty hilarious ways. I also enjoy how the story is somewhat straightforward and straight to the point, as opposed to other romance anime that take so long to give viewers a half-baked conclusion. This anime was more than the romance. It really was, and yes, this is kind of becoming a theme of a joke. It really was about the friends we made along the way. I'm not even joking this time. It drove through that message in the most effective and wholesome way I've seen any romance anime do so, at least for me personally. And yes, that includes the friends we make along the way part. Also one of the best anime, if not the best for me personally, at being clear with who the main characters are, yet also so harmoniously and effectively integrating, properly developing, and exploring the lives of side characters. Honestly, even though this was Miyamura's story, I believe it equally and remarkably understood that every soul is a story, and delivered on that particular thing so well. For day 2 of week 2, as serious as the title sounds, Kaguya-sama Love is War, the anime is so hilarious, and the romance aspect of it is very satisfying. This show leans into the cliches but does so in a novelly comedic way. It's like a slice of life vibe where every day is its own unique thing and still so funny / fun, yet everything is pretty coherent for the momentum of the plot at large, which I believe has personally came together so well. I don't know if I've got anything else to say about it, except that we need the next season of this. Maybe I just really need to finish the whole thing entirely through the manga, but hey, I still say we need the next season of this. For day 3, I drew Oregairu, and yes, I do love it, but I've only got one thing to say here, and it's that I don't believe Best Girl won. But you know what? Let's just be happy. For this next one, World End, I am not even going to attempt to say the full name of this. Maybe I should. Hold on. Okay. And the title is Shuumatsu Nani Shitemasu ka Isogashi desu ka Sukute morate Okay, for all you like tier 1 weebs and otakus and Japanese people, forgive me, I've already butchered this. Maybe I should just try it in English. World end. What do you do at the end of the world? Are you busy? Will you save us? That's the full name of the anime, so I just call it World End. And admittedly, maybe it had something to do with the world ending, but I don't even remember. I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember anything about the world ending. It may be because I watched it a long while ago, like 5 years ago, but still, I love this drawing. I don't remember anything about the world ending, and 𝐒𝐿𝐼 and 𝑤𝐿𝑚 definitely deserve better. Day 5 of week 2 is Darling in the Franxx, and admittedly, I don't remember much more about this anime than middle school-like kids learning what it means to be an adult, supposedly. Or rather, it's kinda about teen soldiers learning about puberty in a society where learning about love and puberty, and let's just say
The natural obligations.
the natural obligations. In a society where learning about that was outright banned and illegal for some reason I cannot remember. But other than that, it's probably the one and only anime on my week 2 list that I don't remember too much about. Still, it was a cool watch from how I remember thinking about it at the time. For day 6, Seishun Buta Yarou. So, first, this anime has the best ending song of all time in my humble opinion. Second, for an anime about supernatural phenomena, I appreciate the realness and rawness of the characters. Third, the anime is a lot less weirder than its title sounds, which, if you're wondering what the title is in English, yes, it's Bunny Girl Senpai. It has a lot less to do with bunny girls than you realize. That was only really relevant in episode 1, but you just really gotta experience the anime's greatness for yourself. For the last day I have in week 2, I chose Sword Art Online. Definitely my least favorite drawing of all the ones I made throughout this whole Inktober. I struggled to make it work, and it hasn't worked yet. But you know what? We're doing this for fun. We're doing this to improve and see where we can improve. And hey, it's just giving me one more challenge to look forward to in the future. About the anime, it's not my favorite, even in terms of romance, but it still has a soft spot in my heart. Maybe in terms of romance, I replaced this anime with 𝓸𝓸𝓬𝓮. My only struggle with that is I really barely remember anything to do with 𝓸𝓸𝓬 since it's just been that long since I've watched it. But I do remember enjoying 𝓸𝓸𝓬𝓮. Still, I know SAO gets quite a bit of hate and a lot of shade, but I actually liked it. This would have been in my top 7 shonen manga, were it not for the fact that the source of this anime is a light novel, not a manga. Season 1 was top notch. I was a Kirito fanboy for a hot minute, and I like the characters. I do kind of dislike how this is a borderline harem anime, but meh, all in all, the show was pretty cool. I'm not even gonna lie, like 2 years ago this wasn't my top 5 list of anime. But yeah, it's still nice. Okay, for week 3, it's kind of a weird mix of them because I'm going off of the My Anime List definitions, or designations rather, for the anime's genres, and there were some that I thought were slice of life which aren't under MAL, and some which I thought were school. Okay, wait, you can't really mess up what a school anime is. But yes, so I just put all of these together in one category: slice of life, school, and drama. It doesn't have to be all of the above, as long as it's like 2, basically, or maybe one of them. But yeah, anyways, the first one, Wonder Egg Priority. I I admit, I went into it thinking this anime will be really wholesome. It wasn't the most wholesome anime, but it is by and far my favorite among the anime I watched in 2021. 𝐒𝐴-ᒕ𝐙𝐆 is still wholesome, and I really rock with 𝓕𝓏 Kawaii. Hey yo, I personally do not subscribe to the slang where people say slay and whatever associated namby-pamby patterns of speech, but for my homegirl Rika, she is so slay. Aside from my girly pops right there, very few anime, even among my favorite, have ever made me long for another episode the way 𝓕𝓮𝓮 Priority did. It took a pretty heavy topic of conversation and creatively spun it into a story which I believe balanced the lighthearted aspects and the heavy subject matter rather than the Brother, okay. Even though you don't like saying slay, bro, you can stop sounding like a nerd fam. Aight. Personally, a 10 out of 10. Next anime. Week 3, Day 2, Classroom of the Elite. Hey man, what can I say? This guy's the most mid yet elite pianist and calligrapher I've ever seen. If you know, you know. Day 3, Love Live. I honestly can't even explain how or why I ended up watching this whole anime. It didn't relate to any of the niches of anime I used to enjoy watching a lot, except for school anime. But I don't even know why I finished this. Maybe because of the memes.
I'll make your heart go ┕ Hi there, I'm ┕Yazawa. Don't forget ┕, cause I ┕need you.
Gosh, yo, break my ┕ kneecaps, fam. Aight, that's enough Sasibaka sounds from supposedly wholesome anime. Instead, I actually kind of regret choosing this now. Instead, I'd rather go with Grand Crest Senki, otherwise known as Record of the Grand Crest War. I'm saying that I'd rather choose this because after thinking about it, I'm saying this having thought about it after already drawing my Inktober prompt from that day, and just having thought about it, there was a lot that I loved about Grand Crest Senki. Oh wait, since that kinda doesn't fit the whole theme with the school anime or slice of life, it's really only just drama and, well, war. I guess a better one will be Robotics Notes. A sci-fi drama that I definitely remember loving the creativity and mystery aspects of that story. And of course, the bits of romance from the middle and near the end of that. Still, it was cool. Not my favorite, but it was cool. As a self-acclaimed history buff, and someone who spent a ton of time pouring through World War II related history, Girls und Panzer kind of feels like 𝐒𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐴 done better. This is one of those anime that I began watching because of the memes, and I turned out to oddly enjoy watching it. My first vid on this channel was a meme I was inspired to make 3 summers ago with Kay and Darjeeling, characters representing America and Britain respectively, which ended up as this. And I want to try to remake it sometime in the future to see how much better it can get. If you are interested in this anime, I shall tell you don't stop with the anime. You should finish at least with Girls und Panzer der Film, basically the movie, because the plot's central conflict actually doesn't truly resolve until then. All in all, it was a fun watch, and gave me another excuse to relish in patriotic fervor for countries I'm not even from. By the way, this is a side tangent, but as I was writing the script for this, I went onto my anime list to recall more info about this anime. I saw one of its genres was listed as CGDCT, which I had no clue what it stood for, so when I searched it up and found out it stands for cute girls doing cute things, it made the idea that girls blasting each other with tanks being considered cute is hysterically hilarious to me. For day 5, A Lull in the Sea, I don't really remember a lot about this anime, but from what I recall, to be honest, I don't really recall a lot about this anime or the specifics of it, but from what I do remember, it was partially about romance with a messy love web, but for the most part, basically inspired from this masterpiece of a quote.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
And translated into a masterpiece of an anime. I bring up that quote because even though they all look human, there's like two groups of humans, water humans who, well, live underwater and can't stay out of water for too long without damage to their skin and bodies. And there are land humans who obviously can't breathe underwater, so they live on land. And from what I remember, the two groups of humans had to get over their prejudices with one another. I know this Bushism is supposed to be a gaffe, but it seems Bush 43 was onto something when he coined a quote which should be echoed through time. That truly, humans and fish not only should, but can coexist peacefully. Although not everyone believes in that statement, I can say that I love that quote, and I love this anime. Bro, day 6, this one right here gave me tears for a number of reasons, but it was great. It's one of those stories that definitely tell you not everything is going to be happily ever after and perfect even at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, there are still things to be glad and grateful for. I mean, that, from what I recall, is not necessarily the point of this anime, but without spoiling the story, I believe it's safe to say that is one of the positive lessons which can be taken from this tale, and that there is much to be made out of the mundane if you make the choices to make most of that plainness. Lastly, but definitely not least for week 3 is Sora no Woto, aka Sound of the Sky. Yes, it does look like some K-On! Characters got drafted into the military, but tell me why I did see more blood in this anime than in the 300 plus episodes of Fairy Tail. And I'm not even exaggerating. Watch Fairy Tail. You'll even go to Google, search up Natsu bleeding, and you'll find images of him bruised, but there isn't really much blood drawn in Fairy Tail, which is not the same in Sound of the Sky. Side note here again, apparently the Fairy Tail anime is actually pretty censored compared to the manga, so really the anime does not help the perception that Mashima is afraid to harm his characters in a story centered around fighting through various situations. Anywho, beyond being K-On! Army Edition, this anime was actually a lot more captivating than I expected, and beyond a lot of slice of life anime, the plot was pretty thought out in my humble opinion, and the climax satisfying. Although I keep bringing up the similarities between K-On! And Sora no Woto, yes, they both have a similar art style and the slice of life vibe. Yes, the protagonists are girls who want to learn how to make music in a masterfully compelling way, but that is where the similarities end. As people like this person, and even me for sure, go into the anime expecting lighthearted comedy, and definitely it has lighthearted moments, this anime gives us all quiet on the Western Front, and we come out wondering how we can better our own personal values. All in all, it is a great watch. I got into it because I was curious why an anime girl was playing Amazing Grace, and I was left more than satisfied. Last among the themed weeks, week 4 is based on the anime of my younger years. Basically anime that I watched when I was a lot younger. And for day 1, I had to start with Sonic X, which all I'm saying here is before it was popularly known as the Naruto run, it was the Sonic run. Also Sonic Colors was peak. Day 2, bruh, Beyblades was not that serious. And what do you mean Moses split the Red Sea with a Beyblade? Anywho, there's a lot of content that's described this better than I could, how iconic and seriously unserious the whole thing was, so I'm not gonna do that. But this show was peak. I also did start with the previous Gen 1 with Tyson and Kai, but the Metal series is the most iconic one for sure, and definitely the best part of the entire franchise. For day 3, Speed Racer, or Mach Go Go Go, which I never knew was part of its name. I don't have too much to say about it, but I didn't even realize this one was an anime until a few years back. But hey, retro shows and things can definitely be a vibe. Like, for me, it's crazy to think that Dr. King, RFK, LBJ, even Eisenhower could have possibly watched this. Still, it was pretty cool. Now, for day 4, wait. I know what you're thinking. Ray, it isn't an anime. I know. But 1, it's got the art style of one. And 2, the storyline is so good that I think most of the fandom would agree with elevating its status up to an American anime. Like, the only reason it isn't considered an anime is because it wasn't produced in Japan. But for this time, I'll flout the traditional norms and definitions. Weebs are not normies anyways, so forget the norms this once. Plus, you probably got into it because it was either popular, maybe it had funny memes/moments, or maybe you got into it because it was a cool show that was conveniently accessible to you. Not me. As a child, I used to walk 4 kilometers, or about 2.5 freedom units for those of you who use miles, each way, back and forth from my local library, to read the novels. The novels! Not graphic novels, no. These were full-on chapter books with paragraphs of text. I don't even think I knew that it was an actual show until 3 to 5 years after I read them as books. Did y'all even know those chapter books existed? I studied the ancient scrolls, so sir, we are not the same. That was a long while ago though, and it's been a while since I've actually watched the show properly, so maybe I should refresh my memories again. For this one, I actually don't remember much about this other than really liking Yugi best in his older pharaoh persona, but we'll just leave this here. For Hunter x Hunter, first, 1999 version is better. Like, compare this village-esque, laid-back but adventurous fun theme for Gon from the 1999 version of the anime. With this chaotic, circus-esque music from 2011. Which is what I propose the 2011 remake to be, Mr. Speaker. A complete circus. Now, to be fair, they did improve the animations, and the 2011 version went further in the story. But maybe since I grew up with the 1999 version, it will always just have that special place in my heart. Last and not least for these themed weeks is Detective Conan. I really love this anime, and the idea of it is great, but when is it gonna end? And I don't mean that in a One Piece way. Both anime have over 1,000 episodes. but at least One Piece's plot keeps moving. The plot in Detective Conan has barely progressed, if at all, since, I don't know, episode 100? Still, I do say this as someone who loved it and devoured every single Detective Conan movie I could find back then. At the very least, I'm glad that Shinichi and Ran are actually an official thing now, but hey, I think we should actually move on with the plot and get this show's biggest case of all closed. Now, for the last 3 days, as I already said in the intro, or during my tangent portion of this video, my last 3 days were me coloring in my top 3 anime, and in third place, admittedly, I couldn't just choose one anime for third. And the award goes to both Assassination Classroom and Horimiya for me. I'm not going to say too much about both of them, because on the one hand, spoilers, and two, I mean, I've already talked about them at length earlier in the video, so you can go see that. Maybe I'll make more videos where I get to banter about them by myself or with other people, probably with other people more so, but hey, I had to pick those two. They were just iconic and special to me in a personal way, so it's not even debatable for me. There were no other anime that could take that third place position. In second place, I chose Naruto because, well, hey, man, growing up with the guy, seeing the mandem become Hokage, and just how well put the story is together, and how quintessential it is as an anime fan. Like, I bet when you were a kid and you told someone, if you did tell people, hey, I like anime, one of the first things they'd say is like, oh, you're one of those Naruto kids. And they emphasize the wrong part so wrongly, Naruto. But yeah, it just shows how quintessential it is, and if Naruto is in second place, I'm sure you can guess which one was first place for me. Yes, it has to be the one and only, and I really feel like singing the theme song now, but yo, I shouldn't. Okay. Yes, it's One Piece. Like, for someone who really desperately tried hard to avoid watching it and ultimately being dragged in by like major fans, yo, it has been a phenomenal journey, and if they remake it successfully with the pacing to be better, 10 out of 10, I don't think anyone will have any reason to complain about it. I mean, yo, we're humans. We complain about absolutely everything. Like, even when everything is right, we complain that everything is right and that there's nothing to complain about. So someone's going to find something to complain about One Piece, which, I mean, like, it's fair, no story is perfect, probably anyways. But, yeah, like, yeah, I love it. It's so golden and the community is just great. The memes are funny. It's interesting how even the smallest gags become some of the most major turning points in the anime. All in all, Eiichiro Oda, you've done a phenomenal job. And I give my props to all the authors and the assistants, the storyboarders, and the animators who put these stories together. Most of all, I thank each of you for watching to the end. I'm still starting out, and to be honest, I don't know if I'd even watch this if I was a fan watching myself, but if you're here, then thank you. I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate you giving this a chance. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and all the best. Deuces.